Hey guys, let's get more news about Dallas, but first, don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. Former Green Bay Packers rival head coach to retire from the NFL. Former Green Bay Packers head coach Mike McCarthy probably did not get the ending with the Dallas Cowboys that he deserved. Sure, his team went 7-10 and missed the NFL playoffs, but he did have 3 consecutive 12-5 seasons prior to 2024, and his lackluster roster constructed by team owner Jerry Jones was riddled with injuries. While his 1-3 record in the postseason was likely enough to result in him not getting a contract extension with Dallas, the way the Cowboys went about the weeks following the end of the regular season was not fair to their now former head coach. Perhaps it was time for McCarthy to move on from Dallas, and for the Cowboys to find a new voice. The problem, however, is that instead of finding someone fresh, they hired McCarthy's offensive coordinator, Brian Schottenheimer. As Packers fans know, McCarthy is an offensive-minded coach and calls his own plays during games. Schottenheimer, despite being the offensive coordinator, did not manage the game like play callers do. Furthermore, he has been an assistant coach in the NFL for over 2 decades. While the Cowboys may think they see something in him that others do not, the fact that it is a confusing hire cannot be denied. While McCarthy is still hoping to land a head coaching job in New Orleans, his defensive coordinator from 2024 has decided to call it a career. When Dan Quinn left the Cowboys following the 2023 season to become the head coach of the Washington Commanders, McCarthy called up his old rival from the NFC North, former Minnesota Vikings head coach Mike Zimmer, to take his place. Zimmer served as Dallas defensive coordinator in 2024, which was his second stint with the team. He previously was on their coaching staff from 1994 to 2006. In 2007, Zimmer became the defensive coordinator of the Atlanta Falcons, and then held the same role with the Cincinnati Bengals from 2008 to 2013. Packers fans will remember him best, though, as the head coach of Vikings, a position he held from 2014 to 2021. During his tenure, Green Bay and Minnesota had many tough matchups, with the Packers having a slight 8-7-1 edge over the Vikings during that time. Cowboys' 3 issues with coach Kellen Moore revealed. The Dallas Cowboys' surprising decision to hire Brian Schottenheimer for the franchise's head coaching job leaves Kellen Moore in the dust. And it also reportedly has left Moore disappointed and stunned. The Cowboys opted to promote incumbent offensive coordinator Schottenheimer over former top assistant Kellen Moore, who was one of 4 candidates who interviewed for the job. Why? There are apparently 3 factors here. In no particular order. 1. Moore is coaching in the NFC Championship game with the Eagles on Sunday, and there is some speculation, which we find to be irrational, that Jerry and Stephen Jones didn't want to wait any longer to pull the trigger. 2. Moore is a professorial type of coach, as Dallas knows well from his successful stint here as a coach under first Jason Garrett and then Mike McCarthy. There should have been no surprises, therefore, in his virtual interview when he came across almost certainly as bright and well-organized, but also, as someone who is hardly a drill sergeant type of coach. They viewed Schottenheimer's personality as more capable of commanding the room in terms of demanding accountability and establishing leadership than Moore's, Werder wrote. 3. All of this has apparently left Moore as surprised at being passed over as many are surprised at the elevation of Schottenheimer. According to a variety of outlets, Moore very much wanted this job and felt very confident that he had the inside track to getting it. Neither Schotty, 52, or Moore, 36, has been a head coach before. Both entered the process with ties to the star. Both would have offered some level of continuity and comfortability for Dak Prescott, which was clearly a foundational issue for the Joneses. Brian Schottenheimer is known as a career assistant, Jerry said after the hiring. He ain't Brian no more. He is now known as the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. And for the moment? While Moore remains a candidate for the New Orleans Saints job, interestingly, his main competition could be against the Dallas boss who elbowed him out of the star, Mike McCarthy. It's now Kellen who is still known as a career assistant. Here's something you don't see too often. Dallas Cowboys legend Michael Irvin, an all-time great booster of America's team and about as close to owner Jerry Jones as any of his players have ever been, absolutely destroying Jones. The playmaker's position? He is ripping Jones because he believes Dallas made a mistake by hiring in-house offensive coordinator Brian Schottenheimer to replace former head coach Mike McCarthy. You're bringing in someone that was already inside as the head coach. You lose things there that you can't grab back, Irvin said in his video rant. They don't have curfew. They don't have discipline. They were fourth in penalties issued. So, how do you fix that? You go and be more disciplined, or be more of a disciplinarian. How do you do that when you're coming from the inside? Schottenheimer, who first joined the Cowboys in 2022 as a consultant before being elevated to coordinator under mentor McCarthy, oversaw Dak Prescott's brilliant 2023 campaign in which the QB finished second to Lamar Jackson in MVP voting. That is a feather in Schotty's cap. But Schottenheimer, 51, has never before been a head coach. And Jerry and Steven's search for a new boss comes across as a shallow one, featuring 2 Rooney Rule-compliant visits, with Robert Saleh and Leslie Frazier, and 2 arguably comfortable visits, with former staffer Kellen Moore, now of the Eagles, and Schottenheimer. Said Irvin, the Raiders hired Pete Carroll, he had some experience. Last time, when we did Mike McCarthy, he had some experience. I got to slap myself and say, give it a chance, man, at least they walked the walk already. Brian hadn't walked no walk. So what does he got over Deion? I was pushing for Deion Sanders to be the next head coach, and I still stand 10 toes down on that push. Sanders is best friends with Irvin, and without a doubt, Michael let Jerry know of his views there. But all that came of it was a PR-minded showboat phone conversation between Jones and the former Cowboys superstar Sanders, who is fairly new to coaching but who has turned around a bad college program at Colorado. Cowboys request interview with Falcons assistant for coaching spot. The Atlanta Falcons may face a late departure from their coaching staff. The Dallas Cowboys have requested to interview Falcons tight ends coach Kevin Koger for their vacant offensive coordinator position under newly hired head coach Brian Schottenheimer, according to NFL Network insider Tom Pelissero. Koger previously interviewed for the Cleveland Browns offensive coordinator vacancy. Under Koger's guidance, Kyle Pitts caught 47 passes for 602 yards, both fewer the year before, though on 16 less targets, and a career-high 4 touchdowns. Charlie Warner made a career-best 7 catches for 46 yards, while Ross Dwelley added 1 catch for 5 yards. The 35-year-old Koger played tight end at the University of Michigan from 2008 to 2011, earning all Big Ten honorable mention as a senior after catching 21 passes for 235 yards and 4 touchdowns. Koger went undrafted after tearing his Achilles a month before the 2012 NFL Draft and started his coaching career later that year at Saline High School, just outside of Ann Arbor, Michigan. He was the school's tight ends coach. In 2013, the Toledo, Ohio, native became a graduate assistant at Michigan for 2 years before leaving for the same role at the University of Tennessee. From 2016 to 2018, Koger was the receivers coach and special teams coordinator at Eastern Kentucky University, a role he parlayed into becoming the Green Bay Packers offensive quality control coach. Koger spent 2 years in Green Bay and then accepted the tight ends coach position with the Chargers, whom he stayed with from 2021 to 23. If Koger leaves for Dallas, he'd be the second departure from the Falcons' offensive coaching staff. Pass game specialist Chandler Whitmer left to become the quarterback's coach and co-offensive coordinator at Indiana University. And you, fan? What do you think of the situation of Kevin Koger? Leave your opinion in the comments.